Hi and welcome back to my channel Modern Modiste. In today's video I'm going to be making a pair of overall shorts. Some people love them, some people hate them. I'm in the group that loves overalls and overall shorts. I think they're super cute. Here are the pictures that inspired me to take a chance and try some white overalls. Aren't they super cute? I usually do not do white bottoms. You'll hardly ever catch me wearing white, and this is why. I just took my fabric out the bag and already there's a stain, so I need to go wash that out. I also got some serger thread, top stitching thread, jean buttons. I also went and I got rectangle buckles, and I got 2 overall buckles, and those come with the buttons. Here are the shorts I'm going to be using, one of my favorite fitting shorts, to draft my pattern, just like new. So I have my shorts folded, so the front of the shorts is on the outside, and I'm going to trace around them, but make sure I fold under the extra fabric at the sides to trace right at the seam lines. I traced everything in marker, then I went and added 1/2 inch seam allowance to the sides and a 2-inch hem allowance at the bottom. For the pocket, I lined up my front pattern I just created on the paper, the length I want my pocket to be from the bottom edge of the paper, and trace the top edge and side edge onto my paper. Next, I used my shorts as a guide to measure my pocket opening. I cut that out, leaving seam allowance, and then I traced that curved edge onto my paper like this. I cut my paper from the roll and folded the paper in half at the end of the line I marked. I drew a curved bottom edge for my pocket and I cut it out. Then I went and cut my curved edge, and this is going to be my pocket. I took the corner piece I cut from the front piece I made and traced it onto my paper. I added 1.5 inches to the curved edge, and that will be my pocket backing. Last part of the pocket is the coin pocket, so I went and created a pattern piece for that as well. I'm going to have exposed button flies on each side of my overalls, and for some reason, if you look at overalls, there's a fly in the middle which it doesn't even open, so I don't know why it's there, but I want my overalls to look like the real deal, so I'm gonna do it. And the fly I draft for the side I'm going to use for the center fly. So I went and traced the top edge and bottom curved edge of my shorts zipper fly onto my paper. Then I went and drew a line on either side connecting those lines. I folded my paper in half with the short of the 2 side lines on the fold and cut it out. This will be my fly guard. I folded my fly guard in half and traced it onto my paper, but gave the bottom edge a more curved edge. This will be my fly facing. I added 1/2 inch seam allowance to this side and cut it out. And now I'm going to go and measure for the top front portion of the overall. So I'm going to just measure from the top of my shorts up how long I want my overall front to be. And I think I'm going to go with 11 inches. So with my front piece on my paper, I marked how long the top edge of the shorts piece would be if the pocket was added on. Then I went and traced up 11 inches from that line, across 5 inches, and a diagonal line connecting everything. At first I was going to cut this on the fold, and that's why I wrote a reminder to do so, but then I changed my mind and decided I cut this in 2 pieces, so I added 1/2 inch seam allowance to this edge and the bottom edge, and then added 1 inch hem allowance to the top and side edge. Then I created a pocket piece for the front, and that's all my front pieces. I want the back to be 2 pieces attached at the center seam, so I need to figure out how high up from the back waistband I want the back to go up. This feels right. Let me see. Okay, so I'm going to make my back 7.5 inches tall. So with the back side of my shorts folded out, I traced around my shorts, making sure to add the inches folded in at the back and at the side since the seams are folded in a bit. I added a 2-inch hem allowance. Then I marked up 7 inches, 5 inches across from that line, and then connected everything. I used my curved ruler to curve this line in and decided I wanted the back to be 2 inches higher, so I drew that in and added a line connecting everything on a downward angle. I added 1/2 inch seam allowance to each side and cut this out. After cutting that out, I went and traced the top edge about 6 inches down on the back side edge and 4 inches down on the outer edge. This is the strap support piece. I created a back pocket tracing a pocket on a pair of jeans I have. Last, I cut a piece for the shoulder straps. That bottom edge is the width of the top edge of the back piece minus seam allowance, and shrinks down to 1 inch at the bottom edge to fit into my buckles. This piece is 22 inches long. So I'm going to go cut my fabric. I wouldn't wash my hands because I don't want to get this fabric dirty before I even get a chance to wear it. I cut 3 fly facing and 3 fly guards. I went and pressed fusible interface into all of these. And now the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to add the pockets. So I did this pocket over here. Let's do this pocket now. This fabric is curling so much and I don't like that. I went and I serged the curved edge here. And this here is my coin pocket. And I'm just going to go and top stitch all that into place. I have all my sides sewn in. And now I'm just going to go and stitch this to this part of the pocket here. I'm going to attach this to my pocket bag. First I'm going to take my front pants and I'm going to sew my pocket bag to the pocket here along the curve. Then I pressed it to the inside and top stitched 2 rows. I have my pocket lining sewn onto my front pant. On this side we're going to sew this here in this corner. I'm going to sew this on here and do a basting stitch up this way and that way. Then I finished the bottom edge of the pocket with a French seam. I added basting stitches to hold my pocket in place. For the middle fly, I took a fly guard and folded it in half right sides facing and sewed along the bottom curved edge. I trimmed the excess in the corner and then turned it right side out and serged this edge. I also serged the curved and long straight edge of my fly facing. I sewed each to my shorts, right sides facing, stitching about 1 inch past the bottom edge of each piece. Then I notched into the seam just below the fly facing and pressed it to the inside. I notched into the seam of this side too and pressed the fly guard out like this and top stitched both in place. I did 2 rows of stitching when top stitching the fly facing. Next I folded under the seam and pinned each side of the front short together. I sewed 2 rows of stitching to join these together. I went and I tacked down my fly. Now I'm going to work on doing the upper front part. I decided to cut these in 2 instead on the fold. So I'm going to go and serge the inner side here. I'm going to serge the inner side here. And then I'm going to sew these together. And I'm going to go and press in the sides of the front pocket. So after I serged these edges, I sewed the 2 together and pressed the seam open. Then I pressed in my double fold hems along the top and sides and sewed all of that in place. And now I'm going to go and add the pocket. I went and I pressed in the sides and I double folded the top and stitched that down. I'm going to do a double stitch. Now I'm going to take the 2 remaining fly facings and attach them to either side of my front shorts the same way I attached the fly facing to the center of my front short. Only I'll be top stitching along the edge. Okay, so now that I have my fly facing attached to either side of my shorts, I'm going to attach this to the upper front part by laying these together right sides facing, and I'm going to sew across. And that's the front. So now let's get on to the back. So I'm just going to start by serging each edge of the center back, and then I'm going to serge this outer edge as well. I serged those edges, and now I'm going to attach these 2 backs together from this point all the way up to the top. I pressed open the seam and top stitch on either side of the seam. Then I went and pressed in the sides of my back pockets and pinned to my back piece. I folded over each curved edge with a double fold and pinned that in place as well. Then I sewed everything with 2 rows of stitching. I went and attached my remaining 2 fly guards to either side of my back piece the same way I attached the fly guard to the center front of the shorts. I also went, and because I had to adjust this back pocket because it wasn't completely uniform with this one, I went and I added a hammer loop because I think the hammer loops are so cute on overalls and on jeans. Then I went and pressed in the seam allowance of my shoulder straps and then pressed them in half. And I also pressed in the bottom edges of the back piece. I lined up my straps on the wrong side of the back and then pinned my strap support piece to the top as well. Oh, and before we sew that, let me show you how I sew these buttonholes. I marked and sewed each buttonhole with my machine's automatic buttonhole setting. And then rip my buttonholes open. Now back to sewing the strap support and straps to the back. So this folds over better in the center. And I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to pin it onto the back and it's going to get top stitched. This is how it's looking. Now it's time to join the front to the back, so I pinned the sides starting just below the fly facing and fly guard, down the bottom and down the inner legs as well. I sewed everything in place, then I top stitched 2 rows on either outer side from about an inch on the fly facing down to the bottom edges. And now it's time to try it on. So I went and I hemmed the bottom edge of each short leg with a double edge fold. I went and just on this right side attached the strap adjuster button, and I just attached the overall buckle and button. I still need to attach on this side, and I still need to add the buttons on the sides of the shorts. So I'm just going to mark and add those buttons right now. And to add all my buttons, I'm just following the directions on the back of the packet. I'm going to put my strap through the buckle, up and over the center bar. And then I'm going to go and put the end of my strap through this top loop, and then through this one here, the second one. So like this, then like that. I'm going to pull through. And then the end goes through this loop here. I'm going to pull it through, not too much. Make sure these are even. And then I'm going to stitch in place with 2 stitches across. Boom, boom. I also went and made a dark blue denim overall set, and I love this set so much. And what I love most about it is how it's not going to show up dirt easy like the white pairs. I added 3 buttons instead of 2 to either side, and I think it's so cute. I went to the fabric store and guess what I found? White denim that is not see-through and feels like proper denim. So I'm a little upset I didn't make my first white overall set in this denim, but that's not going to stop me from making a second white pair. This is the denim I used to make the overalls in this video. It's very stretchy, it's see-through, and it just doesn't feel like true denim to me compared to this material I just picked up. It looks like denim, it feels like denim, and it's not see-through at all. So I'm gonna go and I'm going to make another pair of overall shorts using this white fabric. So here's the lightweight denim side by side with the heavyweight denim. I took away the hammer loop from the second white pair because I don't love it on the first pair, mainly because I didn't sew it on right. But I am loving the heavier weight white denim so much more than a lightweight. I mean, don't get me wrong, the lightweight is cute and perfect for those super hot summer days, which we've been getting a lot of lately. But the heavyweight just looks neater to me. I think that one is definitely my favorite. Let me know in the comments which white pair you prefer, the lightweight or the heavyweight. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up.